Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter here on a Mars day, Sol hour. The ascendant is conjunct in Deneb Algadi, so let's just call on Deneb Algadi. And the midheaven is 6 degrees Sagittarius, so we can call and give reverence to Antares. And here I'm saying a light calling to Antares to, just bring the message, the correct message correctly. So that the correct message correctly will prevail, okay, not anything more intense or Valhalla than that. And Sun is in 6 degrees Scorpio, but ruled by Mars that's opposing Pluto. Saturn in Pisces, ruling over Pluto, kind of ushering Pluto from the culmination point in Capricorn. And this is a fantastic time to talk about the connection between secret society curses of its members, the crimes that they are required to commit, the connection to eclipses, sun and moon, and bring all these things together. And I want to talk about visibility. Okay, so we have been seeing a lot of disclosure, whether it's the diddler, whether it's the people who expose the diddler, whether it's media, whether it's cancel culture, all these things. So we've seen exposure of tapes, cameras, and to do with state, okay, whether it's a hotel or housing, and how all these things connect. And I'm just going to touch on the visibility. Okay, camera is a technology. Mercury is in 23 degrees Scorpio. Okay, also ruled by this Mars. And so most of these snuff films, basically, that we see, and surveillance is required in order to be and or keep a certain rank in secret society. Now, because of these secret societies, they very likely operate kind of like McDonald's. Okay, if you cannot stay forever at the lower rank. You either are going up the rank or you are fired. And fired means fired, okay, in this one. So people, even if they were born outside of these cults, the ability, the accessibility to get out of the cult, the right to exit violence, is very challenged, okay? So we want to keep the course of grace as we address this topic. The point is not to point the finger of blame, but to paint the structure and to see how we can alchemize and to create benefic structure. So, visibility, technology, interference, technology, alchemy to do with visibility, basically means to put on camera something and then to perform use, okay, with sexual energy and so on. The visibility planets we have are the luminaries, which is Moon and Sun. Moon, and this is connecting to the courses of the body. First of all, this courses on the eyes, on the eyesight. Okay? It interferes with correct eyesight. And that can take many forms. It could be the visible eyes. Okay? It can be gaslighting, okay? The point is to make someone question their perception of reality. So to make them, go verrückt, okay, go crazy. The sun is also intelligence, clarity, light. And the moon is emotional clarity, okay? So that can give curses of being exiled from society or being seen as crazy or being out of touch with your eyesight, with your clarity of sight. Sun, moon, also to do with fertility. The breasts, okay? Think about breasts, we think about cancer, okay? So courses to do with cancer. Toxicities to the eyesight, toxicities to, with these organs, and basically unusual growth. Because moon is growth, so unusual growth. That can create, very much like incest cults and inbred cults, that can create mutation in fetus, okay? Birthing that has something unusual to it, okay? And lymph system, lymph nodes, so it can be lymph node cancer, stuff like that, or tumors to do with that. And then there is the sun. Sun, other than the eyes, is heart. So heart, we cannot talk about heart without talking about lungs, and that's important. And we cannot talk about heart without talking about muscles and about nervous system, which is important. Endocrine system, nervous system, heart. We cannot talk about heart without talking about muscles. I said a contraction and expansion. So durability, ability to work, and or disability. Okay. And by the way, this can be our actions by chance, so somebody taking action by chance, and that can still create impact. It's not necessarily curse. So we cannot talk about heart without talking about blood, and this would already be Mars, okay, the pumping of the blood, and the sun is now in Scorpio. And heart, regulation of heart, yes, we cannot talk about moon and sun without talking about relations. So we talked about fertility, we talk about love, growing with love, loving relations, trust, openness, ability to be vulnerable, and all these things. And so while the crimes that are done are both inflicting upon all of these organs, all of the eyes and so on, but inflicting not just for people, the victims, but also for those who commit for these crimes. And this is a part of the curses that the cult members are cursing themselves. So cursing themselves might be not like you are saying mantra or saying, I don't know how ritual or whatnot, but for the very act of committing these crimes. And then exposure, of course, is also curation. So to regain, they can create problems for privacy. And exposure is curating these things. So visibility of what the crimes that were done is curating these things. Some of the people can be media people. Okay, we can add another facet to it, which is the nervous system. Media people is also is Neptune as well, but also Mercury. Then we can go from the guts, intestines, anything nervous system, skin related. And that it can be both when you're a victim of such thing. Okay, so this is not to judge people for their, but also when perpetrator, all the perpetrators within the cult are victims, because the initiation into the cult is your victim. Okay, this is the initiatory phase. You're a victim already in the initiatory phase. And then you are told that this is because you are free. So what are ways to address this? First of all, if you talk about visibility technology, then first of all, absorb the sunlight, especially when in the first rays of the morning, to balance the nervous system. But before I will proceed with possible curations, I want to say, what does it mean to curate? It means we create alignment. It means all crimes exposed. Let there be no doubt. I was treating my teeth, and I have Saturn, my natal chart, in the 9th house, in sign of Scorpio, with Mars in Scorpio. Mars rules names, 22 degree Mars Scorpio, and Saturn 12 degree. names of people who try to manifest ailment in my lineage. Either they came from a lineage or they try to use, because it's the 12th house, hidden enemies tries to use ritual Saturn to create, sometimes to curate, but to create in this case, any ailment in my teeth. What did I need to do? Mars, say their name, so that the blood flow is not. And this happens just as I put anti-inflammatories, okay, blue ray oils. 22 Mars, they were doing it to try to assassinate me. Not necessarily personally towards me, maybe just to want the soil that I'm living on. Maybe because of my family name, okay, somebody in my family name. Yes, it's not necessarily to have something like that, but exposed for the names. And as retrograde 22 degree, it means that this is responsive Mars. It's not attacking Mars, but I wouldn't attack a 22 retrograde Mars. Okay, I talked about this previously. I wouldn't. And for my Navamsha, that would be Mars in tropical Cancer or sidereal Gemini, 12th house. Okay, so they will try to use Mars symbolism to project it to my eyesight and don't understand that this is depletion of their name, organs, bloodline, blood flow, and they could cause themselves cancer in the blood. I don't know what they try to do to me, but they cause themselves a cancer in the blood. Okay, Mars in tropical Cancer, or alternatively, something with nervous system, inflammation in nervous system. They try to cause this to me, but what happens? I defend myself, and where it goes to who sent it. And then I expose for these things, all to do with what we now see 7th October, and there was a lot of Isis, Osiris, and the Pinas, and the this, and the that, and all that dumb fuckery. Okay? So, okay, if like you want to use your penis in that way, there are gonna be repercussions, and that is depletion of your blood flow, your bloodline. And if you take it on the tropical, then this means cancer in the blood. If you take it on the sidereal, then it means inflammation in the nervous system. Mars, inflammation, nervous system, or bleeding in your brain. Like, I mean, I don't know, like really. So you have to understand that when you tend to curate, you're basically aligning with justice. So if you expect that you're going to look at the sun in the morning and nothing will happen and you'll just have clear eyesight, bogus. Your entire patrilineage ancestry has to be aligned. All patrilineage ancestry around you has to be aligned. All of it. All controlling of daughters. I was working with a wonderful product of Tema Mundi, and it was body butter. Yes, body butter, Tema Mundi by Sphere and Sundry, in the garden. And it was a Sunday. Son, fathers. Suddenly I began to receive of fathers that are oppressive of daughters. Why? Because for the family that built the Moroccans, and they were not, they were oppressive for the daughters, okay? That the relationship between a father-daughter is not respectful enough. I'm not talking about like incest or this, no. I'm talking about the fact that father perceived himself to be authority over the daughter, but not in inspirational way. And the notion of respect is incorrect to the health of the father, the eyes, the heart, and the daughter. And so I began to add regulus to this to bring in benefic father-daughter relational patterns. And then I would begin to move out of this estate, because I'm clearing for the lineage of this estate, but for the beginning to move out, okay, of this estate. And I got things more to do with Netherlands, okay, and the things where perhaps because of heightened attention to bloodline, there were fear to accept daughters, but the connection, the relation, is that they build something together. Okay? And connection through building, through creating, through engineering. Okay? Why? Because ancestry very likely in the past was Masonic. Maybe even in present, some of them. What are Masonics? They're architects. So I was going outside and moving the rocks, first to create like garden and then to create kind of like structure. And receiving almost like spirit of living father accompanying. But cannot join the spirits of those who still bring these repressive, invasive notions, oppressive of the father-daughter relation. Okay? So that lineage cannot work together with who I am. And so this is what happens. Okay, you could use talismans for sun. If sun is not in good position, you can use a talisman Regulus. And this is very good. This is a trick of Caitlin Kopak. She also has this issue, so she works with Regulus. Or the sun without sin, okay? It's combining the sun and moon. So you might have easier approach to this. I really like this work because it shows of how the water supports the light. And we really need that at this time. So it's a very beautiful work. I have the resonance for it on a Monday rather than a Sunday. And this already brings us to the moon. You can work with the moon in Taurus, or you can work with the fixed star associated with where your moon is. You see, where is your moon? If you have a benefic fixed star, let's say moon in Aquarius, okay? Work with an Abalgidi. And see, yes, how it works. You need to see how it works for you. And that is in talismanic way. You can be in places where there are water, okay? Swimming in the sea, be next to a lake, be next to a river even. Allow water to flow around you. Drink from good water, okay? Try to find not fluoridated water. And those things, moonstone, if it's imbued with rocks, or moonstone, and sandstone, okay? But then you have to understand, when you take such a thing, also you bless the people that mind the crystals. Every such activity is lit in like domino, okay? And because this is holistic type of addressing issue. You actually address the problem, which means the world has to change to accommodate for your well-being, and it will. And then there are the foods that are good, okay, whether it's carrots or the special teas or whatnot. But you remember that those things will come up as you address them holistically. And you ask for a solution. Okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? But this is something that we are seeing that is associated with visibility, media, the shadow bands, okay? And mostly, if you are in these cults, you will be asked to do things that go against your chart on purpose. And that's what you're tending to curate, and each person has their own way out of this. But these structures are collapsing, okay? Pluto is going towards Aquarius. This is the time in history where there are many cults, but it's the war of the lodges. And rebellion, even Masonic lodges are even persecuted. Okay? So it's big karmic events. And it's not because they're secret societies, it's because of what they do. Okay? Above and below. And everything that is, that you normally live with, and you say, oh, yeah, that's humanity, it's not correct, but I get all these other things. For most of these things, you won't be able to accommodate. Yeah, for most of these things. And at the same time, we have Uranus Beta Persei, which is the fiscal system, all that we know about this, willing consent, the accusation of traitor, succubus, none of that applies. Okay? None of that applies. Somebody is succubus, then it means what? That you need to replenish your own sexual energy and not turn to this someone. Okay? Where somebody is creating urges in your sexual energy, you need to banish for this. But also you need to tend to the core issue that they've been raped, very likely. So need to curate for that. There's no all the attempts or burning of witches or burning of this or burning of that. Of course, some will try, but it's also the time where Uranus is on Beta Persei. Okay, it's also the time where there is a radicalization that leads everyone to understand that we need to treat psychic attacks, or what people call psychosis, very, very differently. Because everybody would be crazy, and everybody would be spy, and everybody would be witch, and it's the veil of ignorance, okay? So this is where, okay, we change for course of justice. But that is what just the connection I wanted to make between what we see right now, the exposure of tapes, exposure of information, people talking about, oh, they have cancelled me, they have this, they have that, and then they were, I don't know, litigating secretly, tending to litigation for defamation and silencing everyone, and then of course you will be silenced in the end, if this is what you did for a living and you even made money out of this, okay? And not necessarily, but okay, sometimes the best is when there is discourse, of course. But discourse is discourse, okay? So it's not oppression. And the things that were once hidden, okay, the hidden effect, trying to make someone say certain things and then for these certain things to manifest badly and create damage in their lives, what did you think is going to happen? That you are hidden and you will not have consequences? What did you think is going to happen? Okay? But we must also keep the grace, because for these people, they also are like male tortured and so on. So it's basically continue on my previous video, and those things that you see, yes, they are reversible. We're meant to tend to that. We're meant to curate for that. If you tend to your eyesight by, first of all, if you tend to your heart by pills and antipsychotics because you had heart attack, go get informed, okay? Go get informed. That's all I'm going to say about that. Go get informed. Your teeth and your heart, it's very connected. If you tend to eyesight, you're wearing glasses, okay? Again, go get informed. Allow space between the glasses and the eye, like allow your eyesight to correct itself. It might not be applicable to all people, but allow your eyesight to correct itself, your vision to correct itself. Okay, vision sometimes can be adaptable, most times it is adaptable. We're having eclipses every year. Of course, eclipse rituals are used against people. Of course, every time they try to backfire even more. Every time they try to backfire even more. Really. So much so that the address of those who tried is now exposed. Every time they try. Okay, so it's like another layer and another layer and another layer. But it's, I guess, for this to be exposed. So that we can curate, so that we can change, so that we can alchemize and create structures that are supporting of life. One beautiful thing I saw was, I've been addressing Belgium, I've been addressing Netherlands a lot, and I want a little bit. So this is end of teaching, or not, about myself magnesium, and it's a magnesium gel. Said I had a little bit of twitching in the toe, a big toe of my feet. So I said magnesium replenishment. Now usually for magnesium I would go to the Dead Sea, but now that I'm not really in the apartment like I need to be, and again I hold the many reasonings. Okay, there's the weird muckler, there's the fact that the city is growing and it's 2030, there's the fact that this radical religion, there's the fact that it's 2 meters from Jordan. Okay, there's like many things that not all the people that seem to be operating so that I will move there are doing that from greed or from trying to take on the property or from something like that necessarily. That could cause them more problems than anything. It's not even listed, the property not listed. Okay, in the past they didn't check for this so much, and this also allows the rent to be okay. Or not. Like the rent could be okay even if it was listed. It's not actually. Yes? So some of that is like, hey, you're a small person. If they're going to be invasion from Jordan, this is not where you want to be, right? And not all of these people have malefic interest as well attached. But the thing is that I could not go to the Dead Sea. And about me, I said with money so that the check won't pass. So one check passed, other not. That left me with money for food for this month, which I didn't expect to have. And I bought me some magnesium, so some essential oils. And then I look at this and I say, alchemist, for your natural health. You have man, woman, raising hands and rising. Magnesium Amazon gel. I look to see where it is from. And this is from a sea called Zagstein in Netherlands. And this has been, I've been talking about Sedna, 250 million years old mineral. I don't know if this is true. And is coming from depth of more than 1,500 meters. So Dead Sea, where I usually get my magnesium with all the Dead Sea salt, and it's really nice, it's the lowest point on Earth that we know. But this is going even lower. To be exact, 3 times lower than where I usually go. This is where this magnesium got to me in Netherlands. And I put it on my body, put it on my feet, burn my back. And I go back home, and it's very, very calming. So I had to sleep after all I've been through and all I've done. I look to see, this is a region next to Veendam, which was a village that was created by a colonizer, and it was a peat. It's kind of like the soil is a special soil that holds a lot of carbon. in the village. Okay, it's not where the magnesium is, but where the village is. So that was one fascinating thing, that I got something that is supposed to be 250 million years. Okay, I don't know if it's true, but definitely 1500 meters below. So this is a kilometer below where I usually go to get my magnesium. And this is depth. Now, the magnesium is a funny story, because when I was in university, I was taking amphetamines like the rest of society, prescribed. But that interferes with magnesium absorption, and the magnesium was what got me to say, fuck it, I don't use this thing, it's depleting my magnesium, which we need to curate for anxiety, stress, to have good sleep, and it helps with absorption of other minerals, okay, whether it's iron and so, don't take it together. So this is one highly important, also not to be depressed. And I said, oh, I haven't replenished my magnesium. And another thing I see is building of stone. And architect says it was basically stonemason who said we need to build from stone again, because most of our buildings we build with concrete, and this kind of like, it's not just concrete, okay, it's just mixed with iron and stone and concrete and whatnot, and that holds for 50 years, then it begins to rot, and the structure doesn't hold for more than 50 years. 50 years is Chiron. In France, you already have social housing built from stone, and they used to build in stone. There are various types of stones. It is more expensive, but this can hold for 1,000 years. And so there I get the stones are mined in Belgium, and the person that was doing the show was living in Amsterdam, Netherlands. So this is very funny, where I attend to the children underground and I receive good quality information for some durable structures that can hold the test of time for 1,000 years, and the mineral that is coming from cycles of 250 millennia, which is a couple of Sedna cycles, from the north, as I'm tending to that. So the information that is coming for why to build with stone, I said, is durable, it's not rotting as much, and is even better on the environment. You don't have to dig too many holes, you don't have to mine too many things, and the stone itself coming from Belgium. And you can build it like Lego, and that can yes, it's not as easy to style as other, as concrete, but it's insulating. It's very insulating, and that's okay. Interesting material. Okay, when I began to move soil around, and then I began to move rocks around at first to create space for something to grow, but then to create a structure. Then now I learn about building with stones again, and they do stand the test of time. So if I'll build a house, it has to be built with joy, but it's very likely to be from such durable material, and I'm getting the correct information because I have addressed things from the past millennia or so, and a couple of millennia. So this is also how minerals work, how stones work, how the little things, okay, that you do for every day, where you get your support, okay, you invest your energy, you expose things, but you also get your support, then you get replenished, where this thing is coming from the sea, Northern Sea, Netherlands, and the stones information coming from an Amsterdammer, and the stones from Belgium. This is good news for you, because when you begin to curate things, you unlock wealth of generations, and for each and every one of you, it's going to be different. Sometimes for you, it means you're not going to have to work this much. Okay, you're unlocking freedom from work. When I was whistleblowing, I didn't know even that is called whistleblowing, but I was not agreeing to violence at any workplace, not for corruption at any workplace, and I switched workplace like Don Juan switched women. And eventually I got to a point where I was supported by welfare. They paid me not to work, and they gave me money for the degree. Okay. And then when I was with people who had a mental ailment, mental this, mental that, I was listening to them, I was talking to them. I learned about the open dialogue of housing first. And I know that anybody that would tell you otherwise is not up to speed with their field, and they are part of drug cartel corruption. Perhaps global, okay? But definitely, if they had to keep their license, this license is worth, nothing. And any court that says otherwise, see how we began with this episode. See what we see the filmography of the judge, because there is. So again, this is also how things work. Just like if I think about what money I made, I invested a lot of money to learn English. That is buying books, writing, and this and that, buying screenplays. And then when I had to make money, I taught some English. Okay, that's what I made. Then I invested a lot of money to learn how to do relational skills. So when I was doing astrology, for the most money I made for relational readings. Okay? And even when I was in between, I was buying a lot of rocks, a lot of crystals. Then, for the money I made, to match people with what rocks to buy. Match people with what essential oils to buy. Okay? Where your money is going is where you're going to be making money. Now, it's a fate at the time I've been paying rent, right? It's a fate that I've been paying rent. Okay? But to make this fair, I need to have people have housing first, because it cannot be that people are homeless, and because of that they have to pay and be in place where not necessarily would be otherwise or whatnot. Some of it is like fated and so on. But for some people, it's correction for the lineage, or they learn about housing and so on, so they rented this place and then they rented that place, and maybe they learn about architecture. That is good reason for them to pay rent, okay, if they can afford it. I didn't intend to have my money go there, but this is also very simple. Okay, cannot say business advice, but for income. Where your money going, or where you've been working. I've been working when I was young at 4.5 years in McDonald's. Then usually when I have no food and people leave something, it's going to be something like that, fast food, something like this. I invested a lot of money in herbs and teas and salads and that. And sometimes I would get for the resource. But this is a business principle called the scratch your own itch, but it happens by chance. Astrology, I received a lot of free information of astrology, and you see this channel is up and running, giving a lot of free information about how to apply astrology. And as for currencies you use, you're gonna have to correct them. I've been reliant on currency, shekel currency, which is associated with Rothschilds. Then you see what I'm tending to, right? To create that. And that's just a part. Okay, I've been receiving help from such and such guides. Then also for when this family exposed, this family this, okay, it's also to curate it. But if somebody is cancelled or somebody's that, also to tend to that, not to leave them stranded. And it's something that happens, okay, natural. So it's also the good story. When you start to curate things, you see that it does grow and it does yield and it does give good results. And that means you say, if you're wrong, then you have to expose for that, but also give the grace of the things where you weren't wronged, and what you received, and that is taking a note that we are all humans. I'll see you in next video. Bye bye.